right, so we have been getting a ton of requests and inquiries about Casa Grande and even Coolidge and Florence. And people don't realize how far outside of the greater Phoenix area these areas are. But we're going to take the trip down to Casa Grande today for you, just so you can see not only what the commute's like, but also what the town of Casa Grande looks like. All right, let's go, right? Yeah. Okay, that was a long 30-minute drive of not very pretty desert. And there's a rest stop midway. That just tells you how far it is. You're going 75 miles an hour. So that means you're really going around 80, 85. There's a ton of state troopers and even the Pinal County Sheriff. They frequently are on Interstate 10. So you're going to want to stay within that 75 to 85 mile an hour, if you can even go that fast. Because I'll be honest with you, during major commutes, commuter time, or just, busy semi trucks, that Interstate 10 can be down to one lane. If there's an accident, you're certainly going like this the whole way to or from work. All right, let's check out the town now that we are in Casa Grande, right off of Florence Boulevard. Well, let's first look at Casa Grande is almost midway right between Phoenix, Arizona and Tucson, Arizona. So depending on where you're employing or, where you're employed, you can actually go each direction, but you're looking at a minimum of 45-minute of freeway driving if you live in Casa Grande and you are driving to either of the major metropolitan areas. Now, don't think Tucson is like Phoenix. To be honest with you, it's very, very different. So let's just focus on the greater Phoenix area. So if you are employed, let's just say in Chandler, you're looking at about 40 minutes to the main exit in the city of Casa Grande, which is Florence Boulevard. The main shopping is going to be just east of the freeway on Interstate 10. If you go online, you're going to see them proclaim it as the promenade at Casa Grande, and it's supposed to be just like Desert Ridge. And I have to tell you, that is not the case at all. The shopping that is in this area is everything that you're going to need, from like a JCPenney's, there's a Dillard's, there's Walmart, there's even movie theaters. There's a bunch of fast food restaurants or like Chili's. There's also, places to get your nails done, your hair. There's a Ross there. And there will be more of those large big box stores. That's what I'm going to call it. Big box stores that are coming, and they're right there at Florence on the east side of Interstate 10. Now, if you go on the west side of Interstate 10, it's a different story. Now, as we drive west, this is the town of Casa Grande. It's actually a city, and it is nice to know that they do have medical care. So we have a great hospital right here. If you do have any kind of major emergencies, most likely you will be transported up to the greater Phoenix area, one of the hospitals, through one of the helicopter services that they provide. But for regular kind of maintenance and, regular visits, you're going to have everything you need in the city of Casa Grande. As you will continue down this main road, again, Florence Boulevard, you're going to see really how old this city is. For the most part, over the last 100 years, this part of Casa Grande has been predominantly a farm community, mostly focusing on cotton, alfalfa, and fruit. We are seeing a lot of alfalfa farmers pull out of Arizona, which is a good thing because alfalfa is a very thirsty plant and it doesn't need to be grown in Arizona. And we need to use our water smarter. So we are seeing a lot of the farmland being sold off. This is very old farmland. So as we're looking at the aerial photos, as you can see, a lot of this was once farm community, is now barren. This is the land that is being sold for commercial purposes. So we are going to start to see a lot more manufacturing, a lot more warehouse, but this takes time to build. So if this land right now is just being acquired, which we are starting to see more and more land acquisition for commercial purposes in the Casa Grande area, it takes a good 5 to 7 years for those buildings, companies to make the full move and bring those employers in. As we go out to the furthest southwest part of Casa Grande, I mean, really, this is desert. This is where Lucid Technologies is, which Lucid has completely changed the city of Casa Grande and really put it on the map as to be a city to watch. Lucid Technology is a high-paying employer, and they do employ 3,000 employees. And let me tell you, with the median income in the city of Casa Grande as a whole, less than $30,000, with Lucid paying over $100,000, let me tell you, you're living like a king if you are employed at Lucid Technologies and live in Casa Grande. Casa Grande, though, is it's an old town that is starting to rebuild itself. And this is going to take not just 5 years, it's going to be closer to 15 or 20 years for us to really see the city provide the well-balanced lifestyle if you are used to living in a large metropolitan area. So if you are looking for lower housing costs and you live a relatively simple life, you don't have to worry about, like, you're not looking to go to a shopping mall, you're not needing high-end restaurants, you're not looking for a social or dating scene. If you don't need good schools, because I'll be honest with you, the schools in this area are very low rated. You can check those out on greatschools.org and you can see what the school ratings are. There's a couple of charter schools that have as high as a 7, but most of them are actually in 2 and 3s. Again, most of the people that have lived here up until 5 years ago, when Lucid came in, have been in the farming industry. We started to see new construction actually some time ago, but it's been mostly retirees. There are trailer parks, a lot of them out this way, as well as one really that's been kind of prominent. And I'll be honest with you, there's been a lot of high crime rate in that area. And I think, again, because of the proximity to the older, the more impoverished part of the city. For those people that are really concerned about living close to the Mexico border, this is something you do want to consider, because we do see more of those problems that come across the border in Casa Grande because it's closer to the border and the main road in from that part of Mexico and even Southern California. The roads come into the back end of Casa Grande. So it's not a big city. And if you go online, it will tell you that Casa Grande is a suburb of Phoenix, but then I would really look up what the word suburb means, because that's not what I would really consider. It is, like I said, a 45-minute drive. It is an hour drive to the airport, an hour plus drive. And let me tell you, if you live in Casa Grande and you're flying out, you're going to want to leave a couple of hours early and maybe go visit a friend in the Phoenix area or whatever. Because if Interstate 10 for some reason has traffic and it's closed or delayed, you don't want to miss your flight. It's a city outside of a city, more so than any other city that's attached to the greater Phoenix area. The city of Maricopa has 70,000 people in 20 years, and they have built more retail and more commercial and more new housing and more road improvements than the city of Casa Grande has in the 100 years in their existence. They just haven't had a strong economy until recently. So this is why housing is relatively inexpensive. So here is my top tips for new construction in Casa Grande. Make sure, number one, you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Make sure you reach out to us before you come on in. But if you're doing some of the research online, here's what's really important. If you're trying to narrow down the builders, you want to try and look at beyond what they have on their website. Look at Google Maps, because here is what we're seeing. We're seeing new construction with minimal community amenities. And although it might be nice to have a park and, a basketball court, but how exactly, other than children, is that really going to benefit you? Is there a community pool? Is there a clubhouse? What type of activities are you going to be doing if you call Casa Grande home? There are a few trails, which if you go on my favorite website, All Trails, and you can kind of look around, There's not a lot. I know, again, the builder websites make it sound like there's just all this stuff in the Casa Grande area. And I'm telling you, there really is not. When you're buying in Casa Grande, you're buying the house and whatever the community is offering. Also, depending on where your home is in that community, if you look at this beautiful community, you can see that the streets of the community are gorgeous, but just over the fence is some rundown farmland. And when that farmland is sold, what are they going to be putting there? Is it going to be a road? Is it going to be industrial? Is it going to be commercial? Is it going to be retail? Is it going to be more housing? If you think you have views, because there is one mountain just a little bit south of Casa Grande, if you think you have views, make sure that it's not going to be obstructed, maybe someday, with houses. These are all super important questions when you are buying new construction in a community that is building homes before the community is all that. It's like I said, going back to what the city of Maricopa was 20 years ago, we knew what questions to ask because we knew what the city had planned. And let me tell you, when you go in the sales office, they're going to tell you whatever it takes to get the home sold. We're not trying to sell you that specific home. We're trying to help you find the perfect home. There is a difference. Make sure you always have representation when you are working with the builder. That salesperson there is there to represent the builder. And once you sign the contract, it's few and far between that you're going to get the cooperation that you think you're going to get for the entire time it takes for them to build the home. We know all the little secrets. We know what questions to ask. Make sure you give us a call. So overall, I have to say, there's a house for every buyer and a buyer for every house. And the builders are building out here because there is a need for affordable housing. Again, coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, if you haven't seen that in any of my past videos, it's not uncommon for people to drive an hour, hour and a half to work. And this is kind of the beginning of that. I've mentioned that I feel like the greater Phoenix area is turning into Silicon Desert, as it's been called for a long time. And so, again, I'm not surprised that we're starting to see building even further and further out. Pinal County, though, is very different than Maricopa County. I have to say they have a fantastic sheriff and you don't want to mess with them. Let me tell you that. But taxes are a little bit more, utilities are going to be a little bit different. And if you have that 45-minute commute, and again, that's the average, not guaranteed, you're going to want to take into consideration gas or electricity if you have an EV, and also the wear and tear on your vehicle. So you have to kind of weigh out those pros and cons. You can get the same homes. For instance, Richmond American, they start in the low 300s in Casa Grande, and that same house is in the low 400s in Maricopa. That's going to be right now with interest rates somewhere between $600 and $800 a month. How much are you going to be spending on gasoline or electricity and other wear and tear items if you lived in Maricopa, which is closer and has a lot more amenities? If you are reliant on Whole Foods, on Trader Joe's, on Costco, you're going to need to not be if you live in the city of Casa Grande, because you're going to be driving into the greater Phoenix area to get to any of those amenities. All right, guys, look, if you want the truth, not just what the sales websites tell you and how beautiful it is and what's really coming up, you got to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Days, nights, or weekends, we got your back. And if you want more information on an area, just let us know. Make a comment below, send us a message. We'll be glad to get on out there and get you the information you're looking for.